Here's my 94 3000 GT VR-4, and it's my last day with her. It's going to be sold tomorrow, so I decided to make this video for myself and maybe anyone else who's interested. So the way I managed to get a hold of one is this has been my dream car ever since high school, all throughout, and I was looking consecutively for like 2 years every week, and just nothing ever came across, and it was super rare to find one, and if you did, most of them were trash, just completely beat up or just overpriced. And I was looking for a completely different car, and then I managed to stumble upon this because I completely gave up looking for one. But here it was, and it was located about an hour and a half away. So I messaged the guy. He was an older gentleman. Met up with him, drove down there, and it was in better condition than I expected. When I bought it, it had 83K on it, and just very great condition. Like, the guy had all maintenance you could ever dream of, just thousands of dollars in paperwork of multiple things redone, and just kept up with the car. I've decided to keep it pretty much the way I got it from him, as close to stock as possible, but at the same time added a thing here and there of basically my own liking. I'm not going to get into all the details and specifications. I'm sure if you're looking at one of these, you're more than aware. But yeah, twin turbo, 3-liter V6, 6-speed trans, little mod things here and there. This was by the previous owner. Turbo smart blow-off valve, and under the hood, not much. Everything is pretty much stock. The previous owner replaced all the piping and so many other things. They've just been keeping up with oil changes, not doing much. But exhaust wise, I'll throw in some pictures. I gutted both the front cats. Also got rid of the main cat because I installed a downpipe. And it's a Y-shaped downpipe, whereas the original one is F. The original one is a very terrible design. Not only does it hurt performance, but it also manages to kill the rear turbo. And I mainly did it for that reason, but also I found out that it spools much quicker. It's much more audible. At the moment, it's sitting on some Tane STX springs. I'm like very happy with them. I decided not to go with coilovers because I would much prefer to keep my ECS, and it still works perfectly. Lowers about 1.5 inches, but most importantly, it gets rid of that terrible wheel gap that looks like a 4x4. I don't know why Mitsubishi did that from the factory, but this gives it a much more rounded look, especially between the fender and the tire, but handles very closely to OEM springs. Most importantly, doesn't chatter your teeth. Very comfortable, but handling does get improved. I failed to mention that in the rear, if you install these springs, you'll have to get adjustable control arms for 3SX. So along with tons of the maintenance records, I also managed to get the original dealer paper, and that's very rare. I've never actually had any other car besides this one that has that. It was purchased in Vermont for $41K, and with inflation current day money, that would be probably close to 60. Moving on to the interior, you got power windows, which all still work. Leather seats, which on a lot of them I noticed that after wear, this side tends to start wearing out, but nothing a reupholstery shop can't fix. But at the moment, it's it is what it is. Inside has been kept incredibly well. Even the floor mats. I'm a big fan of the steering wheel, even though it has this like bulky airbag, and it took me a while to get used to the horn buttons, but overall, just great positioning from the 90s. At the moment, it's at 86K, so in about a year and a half, I managed to put on 3K miles, which isn't a lot, but I don't go far. It's more of a weekend car. Moving on here, you got the temperature gauge, oil pressure, boost, and this is everything original from the head unit to the climate controls. Everything still works. I'm a big fan of the climate controls. I think the 90s display is kind of cool. You got an aux port in there, which I was surprised to find out that in 94 that was an option. But this has also, the shift knob also started to like wear out a little bit, but it's not terrible, I guess. You got your cigarette lighter, lumbar support adjustment here, and a little cubby. Often people take these out and use it as like a water bottle holder or a drink holder, because the only other option for that would be in the center console, but it manages to stick up too high. A couple of the cool features that this car was packed with, and personally one of my favorite, would be the active arrow. Basically, the wing and the front plate, I guess you can call it, will go up and down past 50, and then once you slow down to under 30 or 35, the wing will go back down and the front plate will pull back up. I will probably do a demonstration of that. So right now it's currently off. That would be permanently on, down, up, and down. I'll show you what that looks like in the front as well. With the switch on and the wing up, this is also what happens in the front. Normally this is tucked up behind the bumper. Cruise control as well over here, which does work in this car. As I said, pretty much everything in this car works. The ECS, I know a lot of people have questions about that. It's very simple. You basically press in and then turn it on and off, and you have a gauge that lights up in the corner right there. Basically what it does is stiffens up the suspension, the struts, and yes, it very much is noticeable, but most of the time I just keep it on tour. From the factory, these came with active exhaust, and I personally think it's amazing. Most of the time it's in sport, I just leave it the way it is, but if I'm coming home, let's say very late at night or getting up early in the morning for work, I would tour, and it's a drastic difference. You can hear it. I'll demonstrate that later in the video. Here's how it sounds on startup. Give her a couple revs. I think this would be a good time to demonstrate the active exhaust. So right now you don't see any of the lights up there because it's currently in sport, but if you turn on the touring mode, pretty much can't hear it. Like, it is close to dead silent. All that is audible is the engine ticking, which is typical Mitsubishi. If you owned a 3000 GT, you know what I'm talking about. It's unavoidable. That's back to normal. And revving difference would be if you're looking for one of these, first of all, good luck. Wait it out. Don't buy the first one that you see. Currently the prices are going up, but just try to find one that's been well taken care of. Not trashed, not beat or raced or made for the track. I mean, if that's what you're into, that by all means go ahead. But just find one that was very well maintained. Maybe has some maintenance records and just everything looks nice and clean. Because this car, through owning it for close to 2 years, the only thing that's ever let me down was the alternator. And I can't blame the car for that because it was original. And 25 years later, it decided to fail, and I can't be mad about that. But other than that, no dumb little issues somewhere. Just, it's been pretty solid. One of the biggest turnoffs about this car, I guess, would be the reliability. It's Mitsubishi. They managed to pack tons of electronics and extra stuff in here, and that often goes bad. I know these cars aren't desirable as their competition when it was released, the RX-7s, the Supras, the Skylines. It's underground, I would say. A lot of people don't know about this car. I've never had a car, out of all the cars I've owned, I've never had a car get so much attention. Like, I'll pull up to a gas station, the store, anywhere else, and people will just come up to me or like roll their window down and say, hey, just, whoa, what is that? I would highly suggest joining some Facebook groups for this car, even the online pages, the forums. They're super helpful, and this is one of the best communities I've joined in. A lot of the people are incredibly smart and know what they're talking about, where I'm nowhere near on that level, but I have a lot of respect for them, and they've been incredibly helpful when I had some questions. I know the second gear synchro is a common issue, and a lot of people know about it, but I personally don't launch it and bang gears. I try to be pretty smooth about it, and so far it's worked out great. The shifter is very notchy, all of the gears. 6th gear barely gets used in here because I only use it when I'm cruising above 80. Normally it's 4th and 5th, even on the highway. I don't have a device or way to mount this camera, but this is as good as I can do for a driving video. But I think this car truly belongs on a back road. It just handles so well. You throw it into a corner and it hugs it. I think I'm gonna wrap it up there. Would I recommend this car? Most definitely. As a daily driver, personally wouldn't. I would suggest this as a weekend car, something to go out, have your fun, go to a car meet, go on a cruise. Thank you guys for watching. I hope some of you found something helpful, maybe interesting, maybe answered some of your questions. I know it hasn't been the best video. This is my first one, and I'm trying my best here. But regardless, I hope you guys have a good day. I'm gonna miss this car once I sell it, but it's time to move on to better things.